Hey, how are you doing today? So I'm coming here live for my day 2 of my identity makeover. I got this plant kind of, it looks like it's going right into me. So yesterday I did day 1 and I gave everybody an assignment to come up with a vision. So if you missed day 1, you can go back in my videos and you can see the first day and what I talked about, but I wanted to continue on from day 1 about getting your vision and talk about the past and how if you're going to create a limitless life, if you're going to move forward, if you're going to have your desires that you want to have happen, that vision, whatever you were able to see in that vision, if you want to become that person, if you want a new identity, because you have the current identity that you're operating as, and then you have your future self, that is a different version of you. So that's what I want to talk about today is once you identify who you want to become, then essentially, then you start a journey. You know, you claim it and then you're going to start a journey in becoming that person. And I'm going to keep this really casual and low key because I just want to share some things. And if you didn't catch it yesterday, I'm doing this 7-day series because a lot of my clients have come to me and are going through a really challenging time. The astrology, all these things, life events, everything that's happening in the collective, the world needs healing. And I want to support people in healing in a new way with my healing forward modality. And so that brings me to the topic that I'm going to discuss today, which is the past. So when you think about your past, a lot of people that I work with still have not come to peace with their past. There's still a lot of, it's almost like bookmarked events in their past that they have not let go of, that they have not forgiven. That as a matter of fact, if they talk about those events, there's such an energetic charge. And so why that kind of is important is because how you see your past is it's basically either going to support you in creating the life that you desire, or it's going to hold you back. Because you cannot be focused on the past and still creating your future. You're only able energetically to put your attention and focus towards one place. And so either you're going to be looking behind you, constantly kind of processing the past, thinking about the past, going over the past, and basically creating the same thing. So if you're doing that, you're going to find that your life is not changing that much. And for those of you listening to me that are attracted to this, what I'm saying is because you want something to change, you want something to evolve, you want things to look a little bit different. So it's about thinking about who you get to be instead. And so if you have these 2 places that you can choose from, your past self or this future self, we're going to be working this whole week on choosing your future self. Okay. But what is your past self? So I want to, identify that so you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Your past self is your trauma. It's your ancestors. It's your genetics. It's just everything that you've been through. And I have this incredible masterclass that I've taught before that's called The Rewrite. And I really firmly believe that you could, do all the constellation work and look at all these things. And I love constellation work, by the way. I'm actually trained in constellation stuff. But you could always try and identify what's wrong with you and try and fix and be like, okay, well, if my parent was like this is why I'm this way. And it's really important to have a solid foundation of understanding of why you are the way that you are. Understanding your past and your history is really important. But when it keeps you a victim and not taking responsibility for where you're at today, that's when it becomes a problem. For instance, if there's an event, a trauma that happened that you have not been able to change energetically. And what I mean by that is maybe something happened to you in a relationship, or, let's stick with a relationship. Something happened to you in a relationship. Somebody was a certain way to you. And instead of seeing how that taught you things and helped you grow, and the soul lessons in that, all you can see is how that person wronged you and what they did, then that is an invitation for you to do some work around that. Because if you haven't done the work around it, then you're going to keep looping in the same soul lessons. So whenever you go back to look at the past, and this is what I want you to think about, like, what are you still hung up on? Because that is prohibitive to you becoming your future self. That's a hindrance to you becoming your future self. And so in the healing forward modality, when you are claiming who you want to be, you have your vision and you're like, okay, so if this is my vision that I want to make $1 million in my business, or I want to have an incredible relationship. Once you claim that, then life is going to bring you the lessons that the soul lessons, the divine curriculum that you need to work on in order to become that person. So if something comes up for you where you realize, wow, I'm still kind of hung up on this past event. I haven't really changed this in my mind. I still feel like a victim of this. Then that's your work, is to figure out that specific thing, is to say, okay, well, I need to go back and figure out what was that pattern that created that situation in my reality, which takes a lot of responsibility, right? And understanding that when you go back and you start to work on the energy of something and you see it multidimensionally, not just from I was the victim, this person wronged me, but like, how was I complicit in this? Like, what part of me, what version of me chose into this? Then you can start to change the past, because you don't want to be stuck there. So that is the invitation for today. So I often tell my clients, write a letter to your past, really alchemizing the energy that got you to who you are today, because your past is a treasure. It's a treasure trove. Like, you have become the version of you because of all the things that you've been through. And if you could look at it as, wow, that's incredible. Like, even the hard things created a strength and resiliency in me to become the person I am today. Because the thing is, if you were a victim in your past, then you are creating a victim future timeline. If you can learn how to change your past, then you change your future. And so that's why it's important to do the work. But it's not just about blaming other people. And so I want to just say this last thing, because I see this so often, where people are so good at understanding their past, myself included at times, where I'm like, well, I did this because this happened to me when I was 3 years old, and therefore I react in this way. It's like you've analyzed yourself. Like, you've psychotherapied yourself over and over again. So you know every single way and reaction. And the truth is, sometimes you don't even need to know every single thing. Like, you don't need to analyze every single aspect of yourself. You just need to let yourself feel and move through things. Just sometimes that's just what's required to heal. Because if you're always going backwards and you still have the same stories and you're still telling the same things, well, this happened to me and this is why I react in this way. I want you to think about what's your next step beyond that understanding. Like, what if your past was erased and you couldn't go back and blame your current behavior on that past thing? Obviously, that's not going to be the case. But if you had amnesia and you couldn't explain why you do the things you do, right? And you have a choice in every single moment. And this is what I want to leave you with, is write a letter to your past, see where you might still be hung up and stuck on certain things in your past. And then start to think about, in your day-to-day life right now, where are you operating from? Are you still kind of like, well, I'm this way, I have this behavior because this person did this thing to me? Then you're still operating from the past. But I want you to choose and get to be really connected to that vision of who you get to be and how that person operates. So that future version of you, when you did your vision yesterday and you figured out who you want to be, if that version of you is operating from a higher perspective, hopefully, and is more compassionate and maybe more confident and bold and loving and all the things, then you have to employ that energy now. So when you have a choice point between doing what you've always done, which is the familiar past, or going into the unknown and choosing to behave in a new and different way. Choose your future self. You do that, you do one thing every single day that helps you, like, you know, choose your future self, not helps you, but like, you know, moves you towards your future self. I guarantee in a year, your life is going to be completely different because you're becoming a different person every time you make a different choice. So if this resonates for you, please share this video. I would love to support as many people as possible with this understanding of how they can let go of their past, how they can rewrite it, how they can even have almost like a love story with their past, where they look at it and they can look at it like fondly, even in the sense of if there was difficulty, that's your story, that's your triumph story, that's your hero story of the medicine that you get to bring to other people once you've accepted it. You know, and there's so many ways when I work with people that, you know, whether they need to do some forgiveness work or cut some cords energetically, there's so many different things you can do to support that work. But I think it's just at first, you know, having the awareness of where you're at with all of it. I'll be back tomorrow for day 3. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment or message me.